Welcome in, everyone, to my next 5 takeaways video. I'm going to be bringing this to you every Monday after the week slate. We'll have 2 segments. We'll have my takeaways, and then I'll also have some Patreon questions at the end of the video. But let's jump into takeaway number 1. First takeaway from this week's action. Where is Calvin Ridley? Why is he vanishing from the Jaguars offense? Here are some facts. In week 1, Ridley had 8 receptions for 101 yards and a touchdown on 11 targets. Since then, in 3 games, 7 receptions for 110 yards, a touchdown on 17 targets. This week, just 2 targets, 2 catches, 38 yards, and touchdown. In contrast, Christian Kirk had 8 catches for 84 yards on 12 targets. What's going on? Kirk had 1 catch for 9 yards in week 1, but since then he's dominating and Calvin Ridley has disappeared. I think it's time to move Calvin Ridley down in Dynasty rankings. Week 1 looks like a mirage, whereas Christian Kirk, who had that huge contract, is looking like the more reliable option right now. I'd still lean Calvin Ridley in Dynasty. But going into the week, I had him at wide receiver 22 and Christian Kirk at wide receiver 34. I think they're both should be around 29 to 30 overall. Next, takeaway. Take this opportunity to sell Derrick Henry in Dynasty. Please, please, please. He looked awful in the first 3 weeks. Awful. Couldn't run. Slow. Sluggish. Didn't play over 50% of the snaps in 2 of those games. Then this week, he comes out. He has that one great run, the one really great run, and a passing touchdown. The Titans won 27-3. You're not going to see game scripts like this for the Titans very often. They're a bad team. This is your last chance. If you can get any sort of first, take it. Once you see a running back kind of looking washed up, they usually don't come back. You got your one big game. Get out now while you can. There's not going to be another opportunity. Next one. Where is Quentin Johnston? Where is he? As we know, Mike Williams is out for the year. You would think that Quentin Johnston would be good, taking over the Mike Williams role. He was not. He had 1 catch for 18 yards, 3 targets. Now, I don't know if you've heard the name Derius Davis. I have heard of him. I talked about him a little bit during the rookie process. 4th-round pick for the Chargers. Most people never heard of him. He outproduced Johnston yesterday. He had 2 catches, 16 yards, but he had 51 rushing yards, 3 carries. They manufactured touches for Derius Davis, but not Quentin Johnston. Not good. Not good. If Johnston can't even outperform Davis, how is he supposed to replace Mike Williams or even pass Joshua Palmer, who led the team in receiving yards last year and is a fine player? He's nothing special, but he's a fine player. We know he's a decent NFL wide receiver. How is he going to pass him? So for the year, Johnston has 6 catches on 11 targets for 44 yards. That's it. Unacceptable. It is unacceptable. I don't care what the competition is on the depth chart. We can forgive someone like Jackson Smith and Jigba playing behind 2 great players, but he's still been involved. He's still had way more production than that. Quentin Johnston's production is unacceptable if Mike Williams didn't get hurt, let alone if he did. So we got to lower Quentin Johnston in rankings. Going into the week, I had him wide receiver 26 in Dynasty. That's too high. I think I got to move him outside the top 30 because we're on a bust trajectory. Now, of course, he could still turn it around. But every week he doesn't produce, the risk increases. The risk increases that he's a bust because you get fewer weeks to produce if you continue to not produce. So I'm a little worried, and I'm officially, pushing a little bit of a panic alarm on Quentin Johnston. Next one, takeaway 4. And before I get into this, I just want to remind you, if you're here, make sure to like the video. and leave a comment. Those are how the video gets promoted in the algorithm. Then, if you want to see all my other content, including the main show, 7:30 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday, hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell button so you can be notified about all my future content. And I appreciate everyone in the audience. The next takeaway, Mac Jones does not seem like the Patriots franchise quarterback. Oh boy, this was a bad one. 12 for 21 with 2 interceptions and a lost fumble, 150 passing yards. He was benched unceremoniously for Bailey Zappi. The Zappi hour has returned. I don't think Bailey Zappi's the starting quarterback either. But Mac Jones, he went 10-7 as a rookie. Since then, he's been 7-11 as a starter. But forgetting even the record, Jones, I think, is a little meh. Does he look better now than in 2021? What has progressed? That's kind of my issue. I have not seen progression. Now, you could blame it on the Patriots, saying that they haven't provided him with excellent weapons, and that's true. They haven't. They have terrible receiving weapons. They're Juju Smith-Schuster, non-existent. They let Jacoby Myers go, who actually looks great for Vegas. But this game was horrible. I think that they're going to go in another direction. Now, Mac Jones is someone who I think might have shown enough to get another, like Baker Mayfield has with Tampa Bay. He might have shown enough to get another starting opportunity elsewhere, but I don't think he's ever going to be valued as a franchise, high-end dynasty quarterback or anything. I think he's more of a bridge, middling guy. And then this last one. Now, all the attention's been on Kyle Pitts, but it's actually Dallas Goedert who is the huge dynasty concern. I'll read you some numbers. This year, Pitts has 11 catches, 121 yards, and 21 targets. That's bad through 4 games. Dallas Goedert, 13 receptions, 88 yards, and 19 targets. Neither player has a touchdown. So Goedert actually has fewer targets and fewer yards and a couple more receptions. But the difference between Kyle Pitts and Dallas Goedert is that Kyle Pitts is 5.5 years younger. Dallas Goedert turns 29 in January. We don't have time for him to revitalize his dynasty value on another team. There's no time for that. Plus, we know what Dallas Goedert is. I don't think he's going to take a random leap forward in the future. It's very clear. A.J. Brown dominated this week. 2 touchdowns, huge game. Devonta Smith was good. 7 catches and on 9 targets. This offense runs through Brown first. He's their guy. Then Smith. And Dallas Goedert is a distant third. He's way overrated. He needs to move way down in dynasty rankings. The tight end position is brutal, but if you don't, he's definitely not in the top 5 anymore. And I have Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid, and Luke Musgrave all ahead of him because of their youth. And even Pat Freiermuth at this point. Similar thing with more youth on his side. So that's it for the 5 takeaways. Now, I'll get into the second segment. Second segment, these questions all come from my patrons. If you're a patron, you can ask questions. Now, during the season, I think I've noticed doing the Patreon question show separately as an Ask Tyler isn't working. So they're going to be added on to these videos. I have a special surprise for Friday. It'll be the same thing. But if you want to ask these questions, you have to sign up for the Patreon. And I have 7 questions today. We'll jump right into it. Do you think Akers will take over from Madison at some point? I don't. Madison actually played pretty well this week. I think that it's going to be a committee. I think Akers is going to get some work. Now, remember that he is a restricted free agent after this year. So it's a good chance he'll be back in Minnesota next year. So I won't give up on him, but I think that Madison for now is the starter. What's the outlook on Jaleel McLaughlin and Michael Wilson for the rest of the season? Sean Payton had an interesting quote about Jaleel McLaughlin saying that they're going to get him more involved. I believe him. I think that when Javonte Williams comes back and for the rest of the year, he's going to be the starter if he is healthy. But I do think Jaleel McLaughlin could overtake Samaje Perine as backup. He got more work than Samaje Perine in this game. So I'm interested in Jaleel McLaughlin. Michael Wilson scored 2 touchdowns this week. I do like him. When Kyler Murray returns, I think it could revitalize this offense. The offense looks good. Joshua Dobbs is just a little meh. So Michael Wilson, he's someone I like, and long-term as well. I really like his talent. Re-rank your top 5 rookie wide receivers and running backs today if you had a do-over. Okay, wide receivers. I still have Jackson Smith and Jigba number 1. I think he's great. I'm not concerned about him. Number 2, Jordan Addison. Even though he goose-egged this week, I still like him. 3 is Zay Flowers. I still like Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers has commanded a target role and everything very quickly. 4, Puka Nacua. He's right behind the other 2. I am a big fan of Puka Nacua. He's setting all sorts of records. And then 5 at wide receivers, Quentin Johnston, just because there's really nobody else to compete for that. But the other 4 are very close, and he's way down. Running backs. Number 1, Bijan Robinson. No doubt about that. Number 2, still Jahmyr Gibbs. I understand the frustration, but he's still the number 2 rookie running back by a lot. Number 3, Devon Achane. Very clear that he's number 3. 4, for now, I'm going to lean toward Zach Charbonnet, but it's close with him and Tajay Spears, who I have at 5. Everyone else is way back. Is Ramondre a bust? I have no confidence in playing him right now, but he's too talented to be sucking this bad. He doesn't look good. I don't know what the problem is, but he doesn't look good. I'm dropping him in Dynasty. He's older than people think. Not dropping him off my rosters, but I'm dropping him in Dynasty ranks. I've moved him out of the RB1 range. I'm very worried because he's already 25. And next season he'll be 26. And that's already plateau or going down. He doesn't look good. Ezekiel Elliott's getting more work. And also, this is year 3. So after this, he can do the running back thing where he holds out or demands a trade or wants to renegotiate his contract or something like that. So I think I'm just moving on. I haven't seen much from him. So he's plummeting in my rankings. Thoughts on Aaron Jones? Where does he fall in your running back tiers rest of season? I like Aaron Jones, but he didn't look great in this game back. I think Aaron Jones is... A.J. Dillon is not it. So I think Aaron Jones is going to stay the starter and get the majority of work. Probably maybe like RB 15 or so. I don't think he's in RB1. What are your expectations for Kupp's return? Do you think he's effective and healthy the rest of the season once he returns? I think once he returns, he will be effective and he will be healthy. But I do think Puka Nacua is a lightning in the bottle that cannot just be put away. And I also think that a 30-year-old wide receiver coming off multiple injuries, and which has taken a very long time to recover, is not going to be what he was beforehand. So when Kupp returns, I think he'll be not the high-end wide receiver 1 that we saw in 2021 and 2022. I think he'll be a middling to low-end wide receiver 1, and Nacua will still be very involved, kind of like what Kupp and Woods were before when they were both good. When it was those 2. That's what I think we're heading toward. But he's totally going to be startable and playable when he comes back. We're still at the point in Cooper Kupp's career where if Cooper Kupp is in and active, you play him. You play him in almost any league. What wide receiver are you taking over Chase in redraft rest of season? I am a little bit worried about Joe Burrow and all that. Obviously, Justin Jefferson is number 1. And then beyond Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, I think. And might be end of list. I might still have Jamar Chase 3. I'm just not panicking with Jamar Chase. We know how good he is. If you want to take Stephon Diggs over him, I get it. Or, potentially CeeDee Lamb or AJ Brown. I get it, but I still have Jamar Chase at 3. It's so hard to take anyone over him. I think he's one of the best wide receivers in the league. So, and Joe Burrow is going to get healthy. So I appreciate everyone who's watched this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on the main show for a full breakdown of this week. But I love getting this quick one in to give you some thoughts right here on Monday afternoon. Thanks to everyone, and I'll see you all later.